Welcome everybody to another episode of Tell Me Everything. I'm your host, Danielle Spinelli. I have Adam on with us today with the Warehouse Now, and so excited to have him on. It's definitely a problem that all of us face in the supply chain or in over the road stuff that we don't talk about because it's one of those oddball situations where like this guy misses delivery and then, or there's overages, there's whatever the case may be, and you don't know what to do with the product. I know me personally, when I was a broker, I was trying to pass that off to whoever I could pass it off to because it was such a nightmare. So Warehouse Now is a cool solution, and why I wanted to bring them on is whenever I learned about what they do, I'm like, oh my god, I forgot that was even a problem I used to deal with, and this is cool. So having someone to like deal with all that terribleness so that you can focus on making revenue and keep building relationships, and also with your carriers, giving them a solution quickly so that they're not frustrated with you and you don't have bad relationship there and stuff like that. As you know, at BCS and being part of that network, is we're all about relationships here. So any type of software out there or whatever that can help with that is always great. You guys are gonna love Adam, so let's jump in it.
Tell me everything. Tell me everything.
Thanks so much for joining me, Adam. I'm so excited that you're here.
Thank you so much for having me on, Danielle. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. So let's real fast start with you doing, if I can talk, start there. If we can real fast start with you introducing yourself and kind of talk about we'll get into like kind of where you came from and stuff, but kind of what your company does now that we can kind of get it all into it and tell me everything.
Absolutely. Again, thanks for having me on. My name is Adam Swade. I am one of the co-founders of Warehouse Now, along with my partner, Hanson Perry. We spent a combined 20 plus years in the logistics space, primarily specializing in the 3PL space. So his and my experience met at Arrive Logistics, based out of Austin, Texas, under Matt Pyatt and Eric Dunnigan. And before that, he was at AFN. And I'm excited to say that the birth of Warehouse Now really came from witnessing daily headaches, a retracted hairline, as you could see, Danielle, and and constant issues that we felt firsthand that we were actually passionate about going to fix, which was on-demand logistics solutions. And as broad as that sounds, it is truly providing shippers, brokers, trucking companies alike on-demand solutions when things go wrong that are unforeseen from point A to point B. And traditionally, what most people can relate to is includes reworks, cross stocks, rejections of products, on-demand disposal needs in areas and at times when they didn't foresee. And we are a click of a away.
It's crazy is I actually just dealt with a situation yesterday where there's a cross dock that's, I guess, acting like bad, like a bad actor. They're like making it where they'll call, like a carrier will call and say like, hey, I need to cross dock this and this, and they'll quote them, and then they get there, they grab the product off, and then they'll kind of like hold it hostage and charge like almost $2,000 more. And then whenever the guy was doing like a bad Google review after, like having to pay it, kind of like ransom, having to pay it and then get it released and then put in a Google review, and then they somehow were like making reports on the carriers, and it was just like it was a mess. So it's cool to know that there's something like Warehouse Now where like if we get in a pickle, like these are vetted cross-docking facilities and not just like fly-by-night terrible guys out there, because I was blown away. I didn't know anybody was like that, and like how do you even still have a business license type thing?
Absolutely. And I can say, Danielle, honestly, that there were so many firsthand experiences from calling Google or shouting across the brokerage floor of, hey, who knows someone in the Chicagoland area that can help me out with this? And then you're moving on with the day, right? You're looking out for your own book of business, and you almost forget the point of contact of where you even dropped the freight at. So we look to have everything documented, everything in writing, all insured facilities, and a 24/7 service where we're actually providing the customer service to that experience, right? So
So cool. I just think just even knowing, knowing where the product, basically like no matter where you are in the U.S., like no matter where it's at, you will be able to find somewhere to go. Because a lot of people get stranded in the middle of nowhere and or just don't get help from their dispatcher or so forth like that. Like and as a broker as well, it's where I remember having a situation with something happening and you're like, I don't even have time I don't have time for this. Like I don't get paid extra for this, right? Like this is such a mess. It's almost like dealing with a claim. You're like, this is crap. I don't want to deal with a claim, you know?
Offload this too.
Yeah,
Warehouse
exactly.
now. We got you. Please
Right.
bring us your issues. I welcome them. You know?
Right.
So
So real fast, just do some like example cases on like as a broker when they get into these type of pickles. That's when like the best time to reach out to you guys is.
yeah, absolutely. I would say when it happens, it's always unpredictable, right? It's always, typically things are going really well, and the freight gods that be say, "Hey, I need to ruin your day." So they come in, and you get rejected at that Costco delivery, or you're stuck in Wyoming on your way to Washington, and you realize that the truck's broken down, and you need a roadside transload on the side of the highway, or you're at a way station where you're too heavy, and you either need a mobile crew to come out to you, or you need a facility to bring this to. And you don't need it in a day or two, Danielle. You need it right now. So it's a quick email over to requests at warehousenow.com. We ask for the city and state that you're in, the BOL and pictures if you have it, and the type of service that you need. And we look to have a response back to you in 2 minutes, and then a solution of not just one, but a couple solutions out to the broker, the trucking company, or the shipper to say, hey, here are some options nearby. And the best thing is we are truly just that backup option for you, right? We always say we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. If you have facilities that you go to, if you know of a vendor in the area that you've worked with for years, right? Continue to utilize them. But chances are you're stuck at a place where maybe you don't know someone, or maybe it's 8 p.m. on a Sunday and I'm getting up from the family table, right? Leaving my parents, which I see once a year, and say, hey, we got to take care of a disposal. We got to make sure that we do it properly so the customer has peace of mind knowing that someone's not selling this off in the black market, and you get your certificate of destruction, you get your documented pictures, right? Um, so to answer your question, it typically is at the most inconvenient times of the day as a broker. I just remember, similar to how you were saying, the amount of money that would cost, the driver, who it might be their paycheck for their family for the week, the broker, who traditionally is on a commission model, or the customer at the end of the day who's like, hey, I don't know when I'm going to get this product, but I wish there was an on-demand option to at least expedite it and give me the peace of mind that wherever we're bringing this to has been vetted and is going to do a professional job with it, right?
Right, because there's so many times where trailers are just like left on the side of the road because they rejected the delivery or whatever, and then at that point, kind of cargo theft mayhem is happening most of the time, right? Like it's just a free game at that point.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So whenever we talked prior to this too, you were kind of telling me your story of like how you built your warehouse network. I want you kind of to tell that story because that was really cool. Just the hands-on, you guys driving around and doing all the things.
Yeah, so for the better half of last year, I spent 6 months truly homeless, right? People are always like, oh, so where do you live now? And it's either out of a car or in a hotel room in the middle of nowhere. Because the freight hubs and a lot of these facilities that we're trying to target are in the non-metro based areas, right? We're trying to target those areas that are in between where you're saying, hey, I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place of it's too much deadhead to go back to the shipper, and it's too far from, the major metro. So that's where we come into play. Um, and so when we first launched, our primary investor had sold a beverage company. So we did inherit quite a bit of facilities, obviously, through his own network. But the bulk of what we've been able to build has been a dedicated team, similar to how there are reps at brokerages whose only focus, right, is getting in, developing relationships, and penetrating further. Ours are going to meet these warehouses, these mobile vendors, these disposal sites, all the most beautiful places that you could picture in this country, right? Um, Going in there in the middle of nowhere and showing them face to face, like, hey, uh, our team is who you're speaking to on the other side of the phone, right? Because when you get the personalized touch, I we can all share that there's those carriers, there's those customers that you have a relationship with, right? For 10 plus years. You know, you mentioned your previous company. You're like, I've been there forever, 14 years or what have you, right? And then it's like sometimes you never actually get to meet the person on the other line. So I think a lot of the early success that we've seen has been getting out on the road, you know, taking them out in real life situations. Hey, let's grab dinner, let's go grab a drink, let's go to this sporting event, let's go meet. And then learning about their business too, because there's no better way to sell a service or a product than to actually have that knowledge and say, oh, this is a food grade certificate that's 75,000 square feet, gated security. You know, I could list off so
It's
getting the
pretty
full
cool.
scope.
Yeah, it's just funny, like living out of. I can't even imagine. That would be so fun. Like, what a fun year to just explore the U.S. and like the back, and not even like the exploring like the fun areas. It's kind of like exploring all the whatever areas, but it's cool to kind of see. It's funny because like with my, I have three kids, and I wanted to take them to all 50 states prior to them graduating because I wanted them to, and not only just driving through, like I want you to experience the state because every state's so different. And I'm like, you may not belong where in Georgia where I live now. Like you may belong somewhere else, right? Like it's you never know. And so I don't think you'll ever know until you stay in those type of areas where it's just it's not the metro, it's like the offskirts
You're in the
or
sticks.
yeah.
And to take that a step further, isn't it fun? Because when you're in logistics, right, you're going through your day, you're booking these loads. And sometimes you ask yourself, we're all guilty of it. How is the driver late for this delivery? He knew he's been out for a week. It's only 300 some miles next day delivery. Like he's gonna knock this out. Well, I'll tell you, in a car, not a 53-foot drive and a reefer or whatever equipment you're hauling, right? I found myself where I'm on this like 14-hour stretch, literally covering the entire country to go meet these facilities. I'm like, man, you know, stopping at that Denny's over there or stopping in to like get some sleep or getting like catching up on some of my own time would sounds fantastic right now. So it definitely, in a weird paralleled way, gave me a lot of perspective of life on the road, like the industry that we're in, and gives me a strong appreciation for the people that move our country, what they do.
Yeah, it's funny. I think it's Paul from BCS that says every broker should jump in a truck for a week and learn what it's like because I think there'd be a lot more compassion in that sense, and kind of vice versa. I feel like carriers if they saw the stress that we get from shippers when they're like, it's almost like whenever it was funny. I was talking to a customer the other day, and they were saying that the delivery they were going to be late for delivery, but they didn't, or for pickup, excuse me, late for pickup, and the carrier never communicated that. So then they're like thinking that they're there and like everything's fine, and then of course you get that call where you're like, oh shoot, like I gotta BS my way through this phone call. You know what I mean? To try to keep the customer happy. But so it's like a lot of things you just gotta step in each other's shoes. So that's cool that you got to experience that.
And hats off, Danielle, to the drivers on the road because having gone state to state and seeing these different facilities and getting to know these customers, I'll tell you the talent level of drivers that are on our roads right now. Let's give some credit to these drivers that have to like we're talking no turn signals, we're talking driving in the middle of the road, not following like it's a testament to say like wow we got some work to do you know like at square one for how bad some of these drivers are on the road, you know.
Right. Yeah, it's wild. And even just like regular civilians driving and cutting off, big trucks. Like I remember whenever I was
Well, that's
training
what
my
I'm
kids, I was
targeting.
like,
Yeah.
oh, gotcha, gotcha. Yeah.
Oh
But
yeah,
like
not the
whenever
truck drivers, the
I
civilian
gotcha.
drivers. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
no, it's
myself.
right.
You
It's
know.
almost like it's the same thing like motorcycles too. Like people just have no regard for big trucks or motorcycles and they'll just flop wherever they want to, just thinking that they own the road. Almost like whenever you go to the grocery store and they own the grocery lines too. I'm like, what the?
Yeah,
Yeah.
aisle six is always slammed. It's like,
Oh
gosh,
my
you've
God.
seen this coming,
Yeah.
right?
You
Yeah,
don't own the lane. Yeah, that's funny.
right.
So it's so funny. So how long were you a broker?
So I was a broker for about 8 years,
Okay.
and
What was the
then
years that you were, what years did you start?
I started in 2000, and I think it was 2017.
Okay.
for the first years.
I always
Yeah.
want to know the ones that started prior to 2020, I feel like are real brokers. The ones after, hats off to you. You had it easy, get ready. I can't wait. Because the grind we used to have, whoa,
Oh
it's
my
a different
gosh.
world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so a lot of the guys obviously that started up with Rive too came from Command. And it's so funny. It's like having older siblings or having if you're in a fraternity or sorority, it's like you're birthed into this. You have it a lot easier. And they're always talking about, their glory days and like what it was like to really broker. And I would always sit there and listen to the stories. I'm like, yeah, that is a lot tougher than how I have it right now. I will give you the full credit, right? Going through yellow pages like way back in the day, like looking at postings, right? I really, yeah. It's like we have AI now in tech, right? That does so much of this job.
It's going to be interesting with AI on because they say like it's going to kind of take over things. I think it will automate a lot of things and make things faster, but it'll be interesting to see how much it really impacts and how long it will take for us to get there. Obviously, we got to train on. There's so many anomalies in logistics that I'm like, oh, I don't. It's. I remember I would like once a month have like a crazy situation where I'm like, I don't even know how to. I have no idea how to handle this. I'm 8 years in and I
Yeah,
have no idea what I'm doing because it's
right,
such a
right.
weird scenario. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, cool. And most of the weird scenarios, though, honestly, was dealing with warehousing and disposals and like having to, like, the customer wasn't even helpful. Because that's another thing, too, when you have like the disposals, like, customers are just like, take forever to get back to you. The driver's freaking out. And so kind of having that, like, hey, as soon as they say go, we got this lined up for you. This is where you should go. I think that's kind of great, especially to the carrier. Like, hey, I know this is upsetting that you're having to wait, and we're waiting for feedback from the customer. But just so you know, we've lined this up with warehouse now. That way, you're like good to go immediately as soon as we say yay.
We hear all the time. I'm not sure to take it as an insult or a compliment, but it's like, hey, anytime I have to talk to you means I'm having a terrible time or a terrible day. Like I never want to talk to you, Adam, and I'm like, I get it. I hear it all the time. No one wants to talk to me. Thank you. It's like, but thank you for being around and thanks for your guys' team just being there because we are 24/7. And what I love is coming from the brokerage world, like time is money, right? Like everyone's patience level is zero or at negative, right? It's like, hey, I need something, I need communication, and I need to hear from you, and I need to hear it now, right? So having the pre-vetted solutions, having secure solutions that you could count on, and also having problem solving, right? Like so much of the credit I give is to our team of just like, hey, sometimes the answer is we don't have the immediate solution. But what you have us for is to be there so you can focus on what makes you money, what drives revenue, and what keeps your guys' wheels turning. And let us do the back end thinking of this gray area of, hey, didn't expect to be a minute late to this facility that's now pushed out our delivery a week. This driver has a reload back to California that he can't miss. It's like, what do you got for me? So I think it's just that's what I wanted so bad, Danielle, when I was a rep. Just like I'm like, if we could offload this and get this cured so I can move on to what's, guiding
Yeah,
my money. Right?
I would always try to push this off to my manager. They would just push it back to me and
Hey,
like, dang it.
okay.
I know. I'm like, well, I don't know. I just like little of me. I don't know what to do. But really, I'm like, I don't want to do this.
He hasn't heard from me all month, and then in one day he's seen like 10 messages from Danielle.
Yeah.
He's like, what's going on? It's like,
I'm like,
hey,
this doesn't make me money. So
yeah,
yeah.
right, right. Yeah, let's
This is
offload
it
this.
is and not only even just doesn't make you money, it's hard. It's hard to deal with. Like it's like I said, especially when drivers are already and you're trying to calm them down and find places and make sure it's like pre-vet. I think the pre-vetting is a big thing too. Just like that first scenario I was giving. I mean, right now with cargo theft being so crazy, that's like a whole nother realm, right? Like having a spot that if I drop my freight off, my customer's gonna know it's safe because it's been pre-vetted, but also, I know I'm not gonna have to deal with a week later whenever I'm trying to get this, re-picked up by a different carrier or however that it may happen. It's still gonna be there because that's you never know.
You never know, and I think having it documented, our rule of thumb at Warehouse Now is just, everything gets documented. So there's a timestamp with it via email right now. It's all a visible chain. So if another member of the team's hopping in, if you're a manager back in the day, it's like, okay, I'll take this off your plate, Danielle. What do you got for me? They could jump in and see the full story right there, right? And before, during, and after picks, having a seal number attached. What was the number when it arrived? Who conducted the work? Who's signing on the BOL? Um, to your point, just having that peace of mind, and also like the customer service aspect too, right? Like I remember, it's just like when a customer is asking you for an update, hey, what's the ETA of the truck? It's like I don't want to be pulling teeth, and that's what our team delivers to the shippers, the brokers, to the trucking companies. It's like, hey, proactively, we have the solution, but we're providing the service, the communication, saying, hey, here's where you're at, here's the ETA to completion. So I feel very blessed and I feel really lucky that people are like, how have you guys scaled to where you scaled in this amount of time? We're coming up on a year next month. And I say it's really not a sale because when you're going in and you're asking these questions to whomever it may be on the other end, it's like, what does your guys' process look like? Traditionally speaking, it's all the same, you know? And coming from, 8 or so years in the brokerage world, I can relate exactly to that pain point of I know what it's like, on a rep level. Um,
Right.
these guys are experiencing.
And it's funny because you don't really think about it at all until it happens because it doesn't happen that often. But when it does happen, you're like, gosh, Dan, forgetting everything what you did before. So whenever they come to you like with an issue, is there something that kind of helps you guys out as far as like, hey, if I have this information prior to calling you guys, it helps you guys facilitate things faster, or how does that kind of work?
For sure. So everything, like we said, is happening over a paper trail, right? So we want the requests to be all coming in via email. Of course, you might have a buddy at a brokerage that's shooting you a text, hey, I need help. I just got done talking to you about your business, and now I have an issue that has to do. It really is, Danielle, the amount of times people jinx themselves. Like, I will lose all friends within the next year or two, right? Like no one's gonna talk to me that I am like the black cat, right? So traditionally speaking, it's just, what city and state are you in? What is the BOL and the pictures? And obviously these they don't always have it readily available, right? It's a game of dominoes collecting the information. But if you have the pictures and the BOL readily available, if you know the city and state that you're either in or that you're delivering to, right? Sometimes it's like, hey, we could provide this option at this rate here, but if you are 50 miles deadheading north, we could find you a cheaper, more efficient solution where you could drop your trailer to keep that driver moving. Um, where are you headed? Like, what's the full story? And then the type of service, obviously, because sometimes they'll send in a request that just says help. And it's like, you know what I mean? It's like we're filming a scary movie over here. It's like we're happy to help. Just give it like help me help you. Like what can we help with? So, but I get it. Like, and I think the biggest thing for us is just it's like when you walk into a therapy set, it's like whoever's coming in is typically stressed, right? They have this issue in their day that they think is gonna derail them. And it's like, hey, deep breath. We're in this together. We got you. We'll have a solution to you in the next 10, 15 minutes. And if you don't, here's my cell phone. Here's where I live. You come find me. But like, it is standing on that. And it's, taking 4,200 warehouses across the country, right? Then narrowing it in on, you're developing your relationships. And that's why at the start of the podcast, you were like, hey, what was it like going on the road and meeting with them? It's like, hey, when you need that facility to extend you overtime so you can accommodate a driver that has a 2 or 3 a.m. all day appointment and they can actually make that on time so that they can hit their reload. And it's just a whole domino effect of positivity that comes from the relationship building.
It's so funny how relationship building is such a thing in our industry. Like, regardless if you're in tech, if you're in, solutions selling, if you're in brokerage, carrier, shipper, whatever it is, like, it's such a key a piece of things. And I think a lot of people forget that, especially as we're so digital. And after 2020, I think everything's became just emails back and forth. But getting back to that, hey, let's, how's your mama and them, that type of thing. It's like, it goes so far.
It does. It does. Also, like when we were talking about warehouse now and like the value adds, right? It's like, don't you think it's funny you have your carrier side, you have your customer side, traditionally speaking, in most brokerages across the floor, right? Um, but then it's like this gray area of warehousing. It's like I don't remember when I was in training or when I was on the floor. It's not an area of expertise and knowledge. And if there's a service out there that is, not binding, there's no contracts or commitments that we are just on file to be like, hey, we're a backup option for you. We're in your back pocket if you need at any point of the day, and we can provide some expertise on that. Isn't that a value add? Like, what is the harm in having that on file? And it's like that's where I say it's not really much of a sale of like, hey, you got to get us in, we got to do this. But it's like, hey, typically when you're speaking about it, you then it's like the red car theory, right? How many red cars did you see today? After you talk about it, you're like, oh, we saw 15 in the road, and then it's like the service becomes a lot more relevant.
Yeah, I'm sure, and especially like a bigger brokerage too. Like they just don't have time for that, or like there's not a person that handle that. So I know sometimes even claims it goes to the claims person, and they're like,
That's
"I
friends, the
handle
claims.
claims."
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. Sure,
yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, are you guys going to any shows this year, or what's your kind of
We are
strategy?
we are going to Food Shippers. We're going to be at Food Shippers March 3rd through the 5th. Um, and then I'm going to get back out on the road right from there. I'm going to be going back onto like the 6 months stretch of, again, just in person. So if there are people that are like, hey, I'm interested in the service, I don't really know much about it. Like, I live on the road. Like, I love to see people face to face, the personal interactions, it's a lot better than just hear my voice over the phone. I'm like, hey, let's go out, let's have a good time, let's get to know each other, right? Um, let's actually boil down like where are your guys' pain points, and how can we help? Because it's not a one size fits all. Working with some of the national carriers and their interests can look a lot different than maybe a boutique brokerage and like what that rep wants to provide to his customer. So
Yeah, totally.
everyone is different, right?
Yeah, especially carriers versus brokers is how they handle their shipper customers. They handle it totally different, which is interesting. And a lot of shippers are actually changing where instead of being like 60-40 on the like brokerage side heavy, they've been swapping that just because of all the cargo theft that's happened. But yeah, it's pretty wild.
Sincerely appreciate you having me on. Like, honestly, I feel very lucky, and I was so excited, looking forward to jumping on with you today. You have no
It's so
idea.
fun.
Um,
Good.
you have was there a podcast for you? Was there an episode that was like the most memorable, or you came into it like was not expecting that? You know what I mean? Like just like blown away by the actual episode.
I mean, this sounds stupid because I just was talking about Ryan Joyce, but I would say his episode because he was talking about how his dad was part of Top Gun and it was in the Pentagon, like whenever 9/11 hit, like it was his tower that, or his area of the Pentagon that got hit. Like, I mean, I was like, what? Like, I love learning like people's like life story like that because that's kind of how Tell Me Everything got started. Like, it was funny because I went to Manifest and warehousing, for instance, was a spot like I was like, oh, I know logistics walking in here, and then I go walk around. And I'm like, oh, I know nothing. I don't know warehousing. I don't know air. I don't know ocean. Like, I don't know anything. And kind of a little bit about me is like I'm the type of person that I meet somebody and I'm like, hey, let's go grab a drink, and like I will know your whole life story by the time we're done talking because that's just what I do. And so, anyways, that's it was funny because the whole name came from me and my mom going back and forth. We met somebody new at the bar, and she knew I wanted to do this, and she's like, and I kept saying, "Well, tell me everything about that," and tell me. And my mom's like, "Your podcast has to be tell me everything." I was like, "Okay, here we go." So it's honestly it's a lot of work, but it's really fun. Like I love like just shooting the shit and going back
I
and
could
forth, and
tell. I
it's
could
so
just
fun.
tell in your expression, and I
Oh, thanks.
thrive on getting laughs. I'll shoot 100 shots. Definitely not me.
Yeah, that's
Definitely,
funny. My
definitely throw it until I get my laughs out and be like, all right, we get it. Like none of these are hitting, but just to move things along, I'll give you a fake
You're
laugh
like,
here.
I'm trying to hop on the funny train. It's going to happen eventually. Don't worry. That's funny. My dad's like that, honestly. He wants to be a stand up. My dad's like 63 and he's wanting to be a stand up comedian now. I'm like,
It means the world. And
Okay.
it's like, on half these requests that come in, I'm getting to test my material. I'm trying to lighten the
Oh,
mood.
heck
I'm trying to
yeah.
bring a good experience to these customers as they're going through a stressful time. And I'm like, okay, cross that one out. Was not funny.
Yeah,
Or
did
like,
not
hey,
hit.
not the time to joke yet. Let's loosen this up.
Yeah, right.
Let's get that
The
truck
guy's like,
checked in. Let's get that truck checked in first.
the guy's like freaking out. And you're like shooting jokes off. They're like,
Yeah, I'm
what?
like, hey, we already got the solution. You're good.
Yeah,
I'm like,
you're
that
good.
truck's
Like
already reworked on the road. You're good to go.
your stress is
So,
already gone. Let's
yeah,
joke around. That's
bring
hilarious.
it
I
to
love
me.
that.
Bring it to me. I love it. Keep it light. Your show is so awesome, by the way.
Well, thanks. Oh my gosh, it's been real
Your
fun
energy is
and
incredible. So,
love
yeah.
it. All those compliments. We could just stay on here forever and talk about that.
I'm
I'm just
telling
kidding.
you, we're talking about potential partnerships. I got you.
Dude, that's
Whenever you
happening.
need
I'm
it.
super stoked for that. How can people reach you guys and get in touch and learn more and all that jazz?
Absolutely. So, you could tell we were previous brokers by our website that has gone through like 15 iterations, right? Of what started out as we don't know if this is a real company. Keep in mind, we're there to provide a customer service. We were not website design artists. So, um, we are huge on, if you notice, there's not much marketing, right? We don't have a very big online presence. The majority, in fact, 100% of the business that we obtain is outreach, like going to meet with them, or has been word of mouth. So, requests at warehousenow.com is where we intake all of our requests, right? My personal cell phone, which I don't know if we can drop in the comments, but I'm okay to say 630-550-7446, 24/7. I don't have, I'm not married, without kids. Like, this is truly my life when I tell you that. Um, so 24 hours a day putting into it. Um, and open for a talk, whether it's a question, whether it's, hey, do you guys assist with this? Just when you actually are in love with something that you're doing every day, I know it sounds incredibly cliche, but it is, I have never been happier and haven't had this much fun in my life ever.
Yeah. And you end up
Because
working way more hours because you love it.
you just love it. Like, you're addicted to it. You find yourself at 3 a.m., like you're on your laptop and you're like, oh my gosh, this is such a cool, like I'm dying to work with this person. They need to know about us. But yeah, email, phone, website, if there's any information to get out to anyone, we're readily
LinkedIn,
available.
all the jazz.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you,
By the way,
Danielle.
whenever you said your phone number, I'm like, if this guy says 867934349, am I saying that right? I'm like, this guy says that right now. I'm gonna be like, he is a jokester, but you were serious, so I love
Let's
that.
rewind. Let me play that question
Okay.
back.
Exactly, exactly. Well, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I'm happy to get the word out about what you guys do. Like I said,
Thank you
as a
so much.
broker and going through
Yeah.
this myself, it was such a nightmare. And it's not even just brokers, it's carriers and shippers that deal with that. Like, what do I even do? And so having somebody that's like, dude, I got this. It's awesome. So keep doing what you're doing. I love it.
Appreciate you. All the best too. Thank you so much for having me on.
Bye, everybody.
Tell me everything. Everything. Everything.
Tell me everything.